Hi class, we're looking at lesson 2, using the distributive property when combining like terms and then using the distributive property in solving equations. So when we're solving equations with more than 2 steps, we call those multi-step equations. And the first thing we want to do in that is clear the equation of fractions and decimals. And that can be done rather quickly by just multiplying or dividing by everything by a constant such as 10 if we have decimals, or 100, or multiplying by the denominator of the fraction, and that should clear the equation of fractions or decimals pretty quickly. Our second step is to use a distributive property to remove the parentheses. So if you've got anything that needs to be distributed, you need to make sure you're distributing that in your second step. The third step would be to combine like terms on each side and then use undo, addition, or subtraction. So basically you want to get the variable alone on one side of the equation. And then our last step would be to undo multiplication or division. Let's look at this. Let's look at the first example and see how these are applied. So we're combining like terms here first. Notice we have the 3a and the a. So 3a plus 1a gives us 4a. The 6 cannot be combined because it's not a like term. So we're left with 4a plus 6 equals 90. So we've already started the problem with step 3, which is combining like terms on each side. So now we need to undo our addition or subtraction. In this case, we're going to undo our addition by subtracting 6 from both sides. And we're left with 4a equals 84. So then we're going to undo, in this case, division, or undo multiplication by division, dividing both sides by 4, and we're left with a is 21. Pretty simple. I think this is a review for most of you. Go ahead and try the next couple quick checks. When you're finished, restart and check your answers. So here we have the answers to the 4 quick checks. Okay, here, notice when we combine these, we're going to get actually a negative 1x on the left side. So you have to be very, very, very careful there with your signs. Negative 2y and 5y gives you a 3y, and then work from there. And again, we're working with a negative 3z and a negative 2z, which we're going to have a negative 5z on this left side. The nice thing is we have a negative on the right as well, so that cancels out. Alright, so we're building a rectangular dog pen in our backyard, and we're using one side of the house for part of the pen. So if you're having trouble understanding what's happening here, draw a picture. Here's our house. Okay, here's our house. And then we're going to use this is going to be our dog pen. And we know that the width is going to be 25 here. Okay. And the sides are each going to be x. Now, with our fencing, we are using, is going to be perimeter here. So we only have 63 feet of fencing. So if we let x be the 2 sides, and then 25 is our width here, and remember the house is going to be the other width, so we don't need fencing there. If we look at that, we let x be the length of the house, our equation x plus 25 plus x equals 63. So in order to solve this, the first thing we would do is combine like terms. We're left with 2x plus 25 equals 63. We then undo the addition by subtracting 25 from both sides. We're left with 2x equals 38. Divide both sides by 2, and our result is, let's see if I can get this to appear without showing you everything, is 19. Moving on to the next example, notice we have a parentheses here, so we're going to have to use the distributive property. And that's going to be the first thing we need to get rid of, and that's something you always need to do almost immediately, is get rid of the parentheses if you have distribution. So we are going to distribute that 2, okay? We're going to distribute that 2, my signs are kind of funky here. We're going to distribute that 2, and notice we get 2x plus a negative 6. You could also say minus 6. It's really up to you. Equals 8. And because this is a negative 6 or a minus 6, you're going to add 6 to both sides. And we're left with 2x equals, ooh, let's erase that here. Sorry about that. So we're left with 2x equals 14. We divide both sides by 2, and then we're left with x. Come on, give me my pen here. We're left with x equals 7. Okay, moving on to the next equation here. We have 3x over 2 plus x over 5 equals 17. So the first thing we're going to do is get rid of those fractions. You don't want to work with them if at all possible. So we're going to multiply everything by the LCD. When we do that, if you think about it, we have the 3x over 2. This is where your fraction skills are extremely, extremely important. Okay, you can't forget them. So our LCD in this case of the least common denominator between 2 and 5 is 10. So we're going to multiply this fraction by 10, or 10 over 1. And we're going to multiply this fraction over here by 10, or 10 over 1. That's parentheses there. And then we're going to multiply the 17 by 10. You have to multiply everything by the 10. You can't just multiply what you want or just the fractions. So when we do that, okay, if we reduce within the fraction a little bit here, we're left with 15x plus 2x equals 170. Okay? So then if we divide both sides by, or excuse me, combine like terms, we get 17x equals 170. And then if we divide both sides by 17, running out of space here, we get x equals 10. Okay? We can plug that back in to double check our work, which would be a good idea, and we get 30x over 2, which is 15x. I'm sorry, 30 divided by 2 is 15, plus 10 over 5 is 2, 15 plus 2 is 17. And go ahead and try the quick checks that follow, and then turn to the next page or restart whenever you're ready to check your work. Here, with our carpenter building a rectangular fence around the playground, we have 2w plus 70. Again, the playground is using a wall of the building. If we have 340 feet of fencing, we can then have a maximum width of 135. Quick check 3 here. Don't forget to distribute. Watch your signs. As you can see here, we get a negative. In our answer. And then over here we also get a -1 for our answer as well for K. So you got to be very, very careful and watch your signs. Number 4, don't forget you're going to multiply by the least common denominator. In this case it's going to be 8. And then over here your least common denominator is going to be 24. So you have to watch. You're going to be working with some larger numbers. In this case our answer isn't really pretty, but it does work. And please leave the fractional form for your answer here. And then in B, your answer, although it's a big number, it does work as well. Please come to class with questions tomorrow, and I will see you Friday.